Boom, ever onward tribe, march, commander's coffee. My how the world has turned since the last post. I'm going to start with a concept, lest the story. I think I'll tell the story in another passage. Anybody that's ever attended a speaking event or seen some YouTube videos may have come across this story. It's one of my favorite that I tell. People ask me a lot, what's the number one thing I learned in SEAL training? And it is usually, somebody asking for a tactical skill or some concept I learned, and it really isn't. It was a mental kind of mindset that came from a Master Chief that said very simply to me at one point when things were kind of going south during a training operation, that calm is contagious. Calm is contagious. That's sure ringing true in my ears right now with the way the world's unfolding, this global pandemic that seems to be striking a whole lot of fear and discomfort and a whole lot of unknowns right now. You could do a lot better than just adhering to the principles of calm is contagious, and to make sure that that's something that you're kind of sharing with your fellow man, your neighbors, your family, is that keeping calm. I've never seen a situation going so bad that keeping your head didn't make it better, and I've never seen something going so good that if somebody lost their head, it couldn't go off the track. So calm is contagious. I'm going to tell that full story at another date. It feels like there's a couple more pressing issues that I want to get to. I'm pretty well bunkered in with my family. We're kind of in a spot where we don't really have a need to go out. We're going to try and maintain that as long as possible. It seems like that's a gift you could give to your fellow man right now. If you're not adhering to those principles, could be wrong, could be much ado about nothing, but I don't think that's the case. I think holding tight and close to home right now is going to be the difference between keeping your grandparents and parents alive or not. Probably a little more intense than reality, but maybe not so much. So think about that. If you have the means, the capacity to stay home, I would for a while. Worst thing that comes out of that is you spend more time with your family. Things get a little more quiet. You get to read a little bit more. You get to think a little bit more, probably sleep a little bit more. And I could think of worse plights. The story I'm going to tell today is about kind of adjusting or kind of managing your time horizon, time kind of distance horizon. When I did one of my first what's called operational readiness exercises at the SEAL team, the commanding officer, that's the senior member at the SEAL team at the time, who's one of our community's legend. I mean, just a one-legged mastermind pirate king that we used to call Father War, who is truly one of our all-time great human beings and leaders, asked us to do what's called an over-the-horizon, over-the-beach operation. So we're going to attack the beach in small Zodiacs, rubber raiding crafts, we called them, and we got to sneak in on the SEAL professional instructors that are going to be on the beach. It'll be a nighttime operation. To make the kind of concept very simple, if you are coming in from the offshore, kind of distance of the ocean, and your enemy was standing actually on the beach, it's pretty unbelievable how minimal their sight line is. If you start moving that enemy further up, a bluff or a hillside, they can start seeing, miles out, kilometers, and potentially miles out. But let's just take the worst case scenario of over the horizon of like a 15-mile transit of where we'd get dropped off to start making our transit in these boats into shore. A 15-mile horizon would be even somebody on a bluff. They're not going to see you when you insert in that location. So the very first night we run this operation, we do it at 15 miles, which under the cover of darkness was without question excessive. We come back, we finish the operation, we're successful, and the commanding officer sits down with me, one of the other officers of the team, and he says, okay, what'd you learn? And we started talking about all the specifics of what we learned. The gas we needed, how we managed our time, how we managed our navigation to the target. And he said, okay, is that it? And then we pretty much left it at the X's and O's of what took place. And he said, sounds good, get ready to do it again tonight. We figured that was the case. We were going to do it multiple days, but he gives us the tasking, and now he says go 30 miles out. Very same operation, very same result. We come in, and he says, what did you learn? And, my senior officer and I, and the team together are looking at the commanding officer, and we kind of go through the same thing. We're trying to figure out exactly what he's looking for in an answer. It's not uncommon for a senior officer to challenge you that way. We got to the end, we thought we added more layers into the guy's disposition and what was taking place, and he kind of said, great, is that all you learned? And we said, yeah, I think that's all we got. He said, sounds good, get ready to do it again tonight. This time he goes 75 miles. They do 75 miles. Now we're looking at actually boats besides the Zodiacs to get us in closer, to then launch the Zodiacs, to then come into shore. And I remember as we're doing all this planning and training, and then we executed the mission, as I was thinking about it, I was like, man, 15 miles and 30 miles sure felt good compared to 75. And then we get to that final debrief. Mission goes off without a hitch. Commanding officer gives the same questions. We do all the same dance. He gets to the very end. He says, "Is that all you learned?" And I felt like I had an opportunity and something new struck me. And I said, sir, I will say this. 75 miles sure made 50 miles and 30 miles feel great. And it strikes me that if you can do 75 miles, then anything inside of 75 miles gets easy. Big smile came across his face. He said, "Sounds good. Let's move on to the next training principle, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. You're done." It was an unbelievable lesson in that moment, and the fact that I had the chance to identify it. But the thing that was real special about it is a concept that I then took through the rest of my career and now I take out in life. It's the idea that if you can go further in practice or in your mind than you're ever going to have to go in actual execution of your job, your management of friends and relationships and your families, you're going to be better for it because you're going to know I can go this far. So everything in between, inside that, gets easy. I'll just share this not as a doomsday kind of projection, but when it comes to the current state of our union and this pandemic that's affecting us, if your time horizon right now is on things being affected and disrupted 2 weeks, 2 months, I would move that significantly. I'd just start at 2 years and say, okay, 2 years is going to probably be the disruption level. I think it's completely possible it could go beyond that, not in the day-to-day, but in the far-lasting ripples of what we might experience in this. But if you make 2 years your time horizon and start thinking in that distance, everything inside of 2 years, everything short of that, and trust me, if it goes 2 months, I will be the first to dance the jig, have a cigar, and celebrate it. But move that time horizon out so you're more prepped for that fight. I think it's an advantage you give yourself. I think it's an advantage you give your family. And it's going to serve you well as this thing progresses. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Take care of your families. I'll see you again soon. Ever onward.